Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Who is Better or Which Do You Think is Better? Basically, it's a comparison series. Now, Civilization, and I'm going to be using images from my two favorite games of these two particular series, a la Civilization 3, and when you see the images, Rome Total War. Those are my two favorite of this series. Now, I'm more familiar with the Total War series. I only recently got into Civilization. However, I've seen people play it. I've seen gameplay videos of it. In fact, Necroscope 86 is the reason why I even got into it. The Civilization 3 Let's Play I thought was a little bit underwhelming, but I thought his Civilization 2 Let's Play was really good. It really got me hooked. And his Civilization 1 Let's Play is really good too. The commentary he provides is, as usual. He's never a bad commentator, but this isn't about Necro. This is about Civilization 3 and Rome Total War. Now, they're both similar in that they're strategy games, but they both take a different approach. Whereas Civilization has a more turn-based feel. Like that's how the old school strategy games were before Command and Conquer and Warcraft kind of rolled in and changed the whole concept a little bit. Rome Total War combines both of those aspects. You have a turn-based part, and then you have real-time battles, which I'll get into as the images roll around. Okay, there we go. See, now a basic game of Civilization would appear like this. You have your cities, and you have your rivals, and you have resources and other things that you need to get. You have to be strategic where you put your cities at. You have to make sure that they have adequate food, shields, which contribute to production, and wealth, so that you have money to support your armies, support your buildings, and stuff like that. Excuse me, I had some Coke not too long ago. The drink, not the drug. But anyways, the idea of Civilization is you start off as just one little group of settlers and explorers, and you set up a city and you decide to build a civilization. There are other factions competing with you. My only problem with this game, and I'm sure some of you will agree with me, is the combat system doesn't really make sense. There are parts of it that make sense. Like you see where those mountains are? Those offer a defensive bonus for getting attacked on them. So let's say somebody's on one of those hills or on the plains where like that road and those little water spots are, and they attack somebody on the mountain. The guy on the mountain has a defensive bonus, so chances are the guy on the mountain could probably potentially win if he's an inferior unit. However, it does seem like the game is very random as to who wins. Like the points don't really matter. It's basically like playing Risk is the best way to summarize it. You just roll the dice and hope for the best. But chances are, if you have like the most advanced unit of the time, and they have like let's say a World War One tank versus a 21st century tank, chances are the 21st century tank is going to win. Almost 9 out of 10 times that tank will win. But still, there are some things where you get to the point where it just becomes a little bit questionable. Whereas, okay, I'll give you the modern era tank. It has like a attack, we'll say, of 24. It's close to that. It's like 24, and a defense of like I think 16. All right, when it's defending, it's obviously weaker, and when it's attacking, it's obviously stronger. I had a tank. I had a group of tanks battle another group of tanks in the Let's Play that you'll see coming up. It seems like those numbers don't matter because I felt like when I was defending, I was losing more, and when I was attacking, I was still losing a bit more. And it was on flat ground, about as flat as that area with the roads in the desert. So I didn't quite understand how the concept works, but there are parts of it that I do get. However, I think I don't know if this was fleshed out in later Civilizations because I've only ever played Civilization 2 and Civilization 3. But, I mean, unless it was fleshed out later, I do not understand this combat system at all. But that doesn't downplay the game itself. It's still a freaking addicting, wonderful game that delivers in more ways than 10. So it gets props from me, but still, I gotta give homage to Rome Total War, and that image is stupid small. I thought it was bigger than that. That is just the selection screen where you pick your faction. It's similar to Civilization in that you get to choose a faction and you develop that faction throughout history. Although in Rome's case, it's just the Roman times, wherein Rome was a republic, a little fledgling republic, and eventually grew into the Roman Empire. You have Medieval Total War, which encompasses the medieval times, post-Roman era. You have Empire Total War, which I bought. I couldn't get into it. It just wasn't for me. But that encompasses like the pre-Napoleonic eras, like the 1700s. And then you have Shogun Total War, which takes place over in Japan during the Sengoku Jidai period, which is when you had Ieyasu Tokugawa basically unifying Japan. Prior to him, you had Hideyoshi Toyotomi unify Japan. but of course it fell apart and they went to war again. But Rome Total War is different in that you have the same turn-based type stuff, but you have real-time battles like you see here. It's just an example. You could have big, just massive armies just bumping heads, going head-to-head against each other, just punching, kicking. Well, that comes in later titles when they start actually doing animated. And this one they just do like a slash or a block. It's very simple stuff, but still, it's like you have these two massive armies. Like in this one, you see Roman soldiers duking it out with Greek hoplites and phalanxes, and that's what makes the Total War games good. It's not necessarily the turn-based stuff. I mean, the turn-based stuff is fun and all, but it's the real-time battles that really just bring out the edge of the game itself. My personal opinion does lean towards that because to me that combat system makes more sense. I understand it a bit more. It's like there's many factors into it. There's many factors in Civilization 3 and Civilization games, but some of them you can't really help. You can't really control. Whereas in this one, you can control just about all of them. When it comes to morale, you need to make sure that your units, and this goes with how Romans were able to become as powerful as they were, is they were organized and they had formations and they stuck to those formations. That's how the Greeks were so damn strong back in the day, was because they had a disciplined army and they held formations. And if those formations hold, then your morale will stay up and your units will fight better. In Civilization, there's not even a morale factor, I don't think. At least I haven't seen one. But there are just some cases where I think either the player units are too strong or the computer units are too weak, etc., etc. There's just so much going on that you don't really get familiar with and don't get to understand. Terrain, that's a natural. That's just pop it to the side of your head. But when it comes to like what determines what units will win, you would think, oh, the points. It's the points and the terrain. It seems like there's more to that. It really does, because you could have a unit on a cliff. He's advanced as hell, but a little World War One tank rolls around and shoots at him, and somehow that tank wins. I just don't get that. I don't understand how that could happen. Granted, that's like a 1 in a million chance, but that should even happen once is a little silly. And yes, my phone is going off like crazy right now. But when it comes down to it, they are both different, but both very similar. They're both turn-based games that revolve around either developing a country or a particular faction, and building armies and keeping the cities that you build protected. Although in Rome, the cities are a set limit; they're like pre-placed basically, and you just got to conquer various ones. Some offer different kinds of bonuses. It's like playing a game of Risk. Excuse me, like playing a game of Risk, more or less. With Civilization, it's basically you build your own civilization. I mean, that is what it is. It is build your own civilization rather than with Rome, you work with pre-existing cities. And I do like that about Civilization. I really like that. Do I think you should be able to build cities in Rome? Yes and no. That's not the main point. It's not really about city building. It's more about Total War. I mean, hence the name, Total War. So I would say that they both have enough differences to stand out from each other by miles. I mean, they're both wonderfully well done games, and they both have a good track record. Although with Rome 2, I heard it wasn't all that great, and then I heard Civilization 5 was kind of dumbed down for the like casual gamers. So, but I've heard more negative about Rome 2 than I have about Civilization 5. But then again, I'm more into the Total War crowd than the Civilization crowd, so I don't know for sure if the game was really that bad or that watered down or not. Rome 2, I haven't played it. I'm just going off things I've heard that it wasn't. Basically, whatever Shogun 2 did really well and like brought to the series, Rome 2 undid that and then took another step back. So basically, it took away what Shogun did and took another step backwards in terms of quality of the game. Like basically, I guess if they went back to how Empire was. I did not like Empire. If you like it, that's fine. That's cool. That's your opinion. Me, I was not a fan of it. I didn't like it. I bought it for like $20, so I didn't really get a big buyer's remorse, for buying it for $60. And I didn't even bother with Napoleon. I didn't care to play Napoleon because, it was basically on the same engine as Empire. So what do you guys think? And which game really stands out to you as the better RTS? I see these two as the top dogs right now, given that EA has all but butchered Command & Conquer. Warcraft is now an MMO and has been for like the past 10 years actually now, because I believe the first WoW game came out in 2004. So yeah, it's been 10 years now. So WoW is officially 10 years old, which congratulations to Blizzard. I mean, that game has been doing them some fucking good business. I won't take that away from them. That game has helped them out tremendously in terms of being a big giant gaming company, and they still make great quality games. StarCraft 2, Heart of the Swarm, wonderful game. Diablo 3 looked good. I'm not a big fan of Diablo. I haven't really played it. It's not because I don't like it. It's just because that wasn't my type. It wasn't my cup of tea, more or less. I played the first one a little bit, didn't really get into it. But I mean, that aside, that's kind of off. That's kind of off subject. We can do like a WoW and RuneScape who is better later. But right now, this is about Civilization and Rome Total War, the Total War series and the Civilization series. So I think they appeal to different audiences, but at the same time, they do fall under the same big genre, that being the strategy. However, they fall under different subgenres, but there's still enough there to compare between the two. I think Civilization is more for the take your time, think about what you're doing more, whereas Rome is a bit, it's half and half. It's a bit of that, and it's a bit of the real-time thing. Like, you have to really think in that instant, like, okay, I need to do this, and if you screw up like one little thing, it may be really detrimental to you. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Which do you prefer, Civilization series or the Total War series? And which do you think has evolved better, the Civilization series or the Rome series? Let me know in a comment below. Yeah, that's pretty much about it. Well, I will see you guys soon for more Civilization 3, which I'm uploading right now, and for another Who is Better next weekend.